Gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mr. Richard Brooke.
Got this clock running now. We don't have a lot of time, so. Good morning. Pretty exciting for me to be here at the National Send Out Cards Convention. Opportunity to share with you for a little bit about, I'll start with, what are you doing here? And I know most of you don't have any idea who I am, but I'm not a keynote speaker or a motivational speaker or I'm actually a competitor, which is, yeah, I actually am. I own a couple of network marketing companies, and this is my passion. This is my profession. This is all I've done for 35 years, and I'll tell you why I'm here. Because our profession, as golden as it is, as extraordinary as it is constantly under assault by the weeds. You know, those are those opportunities that I think Cody calls them the crows, you know. Caw, 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 you know, they're always kind of flying around and, well, Tommy said it, so I could say it, crapping on stuff. This is such an extraordinary profession that it really deserves that the only companies that prosper in network marketing are those companies that are noble. And Send Out Cards is a noble company. And I know you know that. Now, you know, I don't do this for a living, and I'm not getting paid to be here. I'm here because I got friends here. I got some friends here that, you know, probably the only time I'll ever see them is at a convention like this, because we just kind of exist on Facebook and, you know, the internet. But Cody Bateman has become a great friend of mine, and I admire him and respect him, and he inspires me. And so that's one of the reasons I'm here. But I got other friends here. Eric Worre's a friend of mine. Todd and Carla Falcone is a friend of mine. DeMar Zimmerman keeps trying to get me to go fishing, which makes me apparently a friend of his. I don't know. And Jordan Adler. Where is he? You are the man. So, no, I didn't get paid to come here, but I have been here since Wednesday late afternoon. I wanted to be sure to get here early and sit through the Treat 'em Right. I'd never been to one. I've heard a lot about it. That was extraordinary. I noticed about 1,000 of you were not there. I don't know what's up with that, but oh. You've probably already been to one. I get it. No, I mean, if you've been to one, that's cool. You're good. Check that off. You probably can teach it. And I hung out yesterday. I missed last night. I actually didn't know you had a session last night. I don't know how I missed that, but I had my own meeting. But not for not making money here. I have made some money while I'm here. I don't, you know, if I'm going to spend 3 or 4 days hanging out somewhere, I got bills to pay. So I don't know if any of you want to try this. This works pretty good for me. I actually make a lot of money doing this. I gathered up, kind of been listening, watching the crowd, kind of checking out, trying to find out, you know, who's maybe the average Send Out Cards leader. You know, not the Jordans or the Curtises or the Bob Goldens, but, you know, who's the average distributor and what are they doing? You know, that's for me, that's kind of like, I think one of my key people's here, Janine Avila, she'll probably call it pray. So I found a couple of average distributors, and no, I wasn't looking to get them into my deal. I got to make some money if I'm going to hang out here for 3 or 4 days. I'm sorry, Cody. So I found Eddie. He's from SoCal. Eddie, where are you? There you are, Eddie. I got Raymond and Antoinette. Where are you at, Raymond? There he is. Got them. I got witnesses too, Freddie and Victoria. Where are you at, Freddie and Victoria? You guys thought I was drunk, didn't you? After your party the other night, Jordan, I kind of coaxed them down to the, what's that bar you told us to go to? The Sky Bar. I kind of said, let's go down to the Sky Bar. I'll buy you a round or 2 or 3 or 4. So we're talking about the business and, what they've been up to and what they're doing in the business. And, they turned out to be, I think, probably kind of the typical send out cards average leader, which I kind of call a cat with a toy. Just sort of every once in a while, they kind of look at that send out thing and kind of take a swat at it. And they'll lay down, take a nap for an hour or 2 or a month. And they'll wake up and they'll look over there and see something shiny new, and they'll take another swat at that send out thing and chase it around. And so I figured, well, I can make some money here, no problem. So I did a little, just sort of a little working on their belief and distinctions and stuff. And so by the time the evening was over, I laid down a couple of wagers. You might want to try this. Now, you might think I'm crazy, but I got insurance on my wagers. I'm backed up. So we're talking about what it takes to blow this thing out. And, I'm kind of doing a little calculating. I don't really know what Jordan and some of the other leaders do. Maybe I'll ask some of them. But I figure, in most deals, if you'll personally sponsor, 100, 150 people your first 2 years in the business as, what do you call them here, MDs? If you personally sponsor 150 MDs your first 2 years in the business, not your first 7 years, but your first 2 years, like 50 to 75 a year, at least 1 or 2 a week for your first couple of years. And then you let time grow those geometric progressions and extrapolate that out over 5, 6, 7 years. How much money are you going to be making in pure residual income? You couldn't kill it with a cannon 5, 6 years later. Jordan? $150,000 a month. Actually, we came up with 100, didn't we? We came up with $100,000 a month. Really? How could you miss? So I just bet Eddie and Raymond that they couldn't do it. $1,000. I think it's actually 75 in the next 12 months, isn't it, Raymond? Raymond. 75 in the next 12 months, Raymond. $1,000. We got it all in our notes and everything. Now, you're probably sitting there going, well, you are some kind of fool, Richard Brooke. Why would you do that? Well, because if they actually win, I'm just going to call Jordan and say, hey, I just made you a bunch of money. Only up. And if they lose, I made $2,000. Better than nothing, right? You like stories? So I'm going to tell you a story. Prehistoric network marketing story. Really, it is now. It's becoming, every year becomes more petrified. 1977, this is how petrified it is. Raise your hand if you weren't even born in 1977. For God's sakes. I'm just going to retire. I'm just going to 1977, I was working in Foster Farms chicken factory. Anybody eat Foster Farms? Really? You have no idea what a bored person in the chicken factory does after a 7 or 8 hour long day cutting thousands and thousands of chickens. You know, some of that stuff gets frozen and it gets put in the warehouse, and sometimes they don't actually find those boxes for decades, and then they thaw it out and all of a sudden it's fresh chicken. You might have eaten some. I'm kidding, I eat chicken. So I'm working in Foster Farms, this chicken factory. I'd been there 4 years, and I actually thought it was a pretty good career. What I was doing was cutting chickens up. You've probably never been in a chicken factory, but how they process chickens is they go out into those barns and they grab them and they throw them in these trucks, and then they truck them to the chicken plant, and then they euthanize them. And then they pluck all the feathers off of them, and then they hang them up by their feet, upside down, like this, hanging by their feet. And there's thousands of them on this production line. They're hanging upside down by their feet. And what they paid me to do was cut parts of them up all day long. Just stand there next to 10, 15 other people, and for 450 minutes a day. Or in a big money day, 530 minutes. That's 8 hours or 9.5 hour overtime day. Net time on the line. And what we did all day long is just stand there and grab these birds as they went by us, hanging out, their wings were kind of hanging out, and I was a wingman. You got all kinds of jokes going on, don't you, Tommy? You should just be up here and just popping the jokes out as I'm talking. I was a wingman, and what a wingman does is those wings come by and they're kind of hanging out like that. If you ever cut up a chicken, I'm sure you have. And you grab the wing between these two fingers right here, and you pull it down so you can kind of separate that joint out, stretch it out a little bit, and then you don't cut, you actually stab your knife through that joint and then drop that wing down in the tray, and they pack it up in that yellow tray. And that's what you do for 450 minutes a day. It works like this. You grab it and stab it and drop it. No, actually, it doesn't work like that. If you work like that, you'd be fired. Because it's all, in the chicken plant, it's all about production, it's all about money, and so the production line runs at 38 BPM. Is there nobody in here that's ever worked at Foster Farms? Birds per minute. 38 BPM, birds per minute. Now, I know you don't have that distinction, but I do, still in my body, 35 years later. They didn't let us wear Rolexes on the production line. I had 2 or 3 of them, but they didn't let us wear them. It's like this. Just pull it down and stab it. It's actually about this fast, 38 BPM. Now, the first day you do that, you're only good for about 4 or 5 minutes before they got to spell you, because you're all cramped up. Everything's all cramped up. But this is how you do it, 38 BPM. After you get good at it, this is how you do it. But you got to be a little better than that, because you got to sharpen your knife. And if you ever miss the joint, you hit the what? You hit the bone. What does that do to your knife? Then you try to force it through the bone, and now your knife's dull. Now you got a catapulting problem. It's kind of like getting out of priming the pump, not talking to people, and you get behind the power curve, and now you don't have a lot of prospects in the pipeline, and you got to start all over, and then you got to work 3 times as hard. So when you're cutting the chickens, your knife gets dull. You got to actually go faster than 38 BPM, because you got to work your way up the line so you can grab your steel and sharpen your knife. As the bird's going like this, sharpen your knife, put it down and grab them. It's 38 BPM. I got so good at it, I could spell Steve Spaulding, my buddy next to him, so he could go have a cigarette. I could do both sides. That's what I did for 4 years. Can you imagine what a person's brain looks like after? I mostly spoke Spanish and Portuguese and Hindu. That's all anybody spoke in there. So actually, the guy that got me the job at the chicken plant, he's the one that introduced me to network marketing. And I won't tell you that along the whole story, but I went to the meetings and looked at the opportunity, and gosh, like Tommy, that's the first time I ever heard anybody say it that way. But I looked at this thing for 3 weeks. Not this thing, but that thing for 3 weeks. I'd go right after work down to the meeting. This company is very aggressive. They had meetings every night of the week in their own facility. It was a gasoline additive company in 1977. We sold a product called Mixigo. Look, hey, market penetration. I still use it. So I'd go down to that meeting every night, fresh out of work. You're cutting chickens like that all day long. The fat's like flying all over the place, little pieces of chicken. And by the end of the day, you got chicken guts, fat stuck all over you. Then it dries, kind of gets crusty. That's how I'd go to the meeting. I had rubber boots down to here. I went in there. The guy who did the meeting, he came usually from about an hour away, dressed in really, really nice suit. Not that that was interesting to me, but what was interesting is how he got to the meeting. I was 22 years old living in Central California. He drove a brand new turbo Porsche Carrera. That's how he got to the meeting. For 3 weeks, I went to the meeting with chicken guts stuck to me, sat in the back of the room with my arms crossed, and yeah, prove it. Took a little while for the lights to come on, and here's how they came on. I didn't think I could do this. I didn't think I could sell anything. I didn't think I could make any money. I didn't think I could do anything. I also didn't think anybody I know could do this. Because they either worked in the chicken factory or the tomato factory, or, they sold pharmaceuticals part-time as independent agents. I don't know if any of you did that back in the 70s. Wow, that's a bigger response than I actually expected, Cody. You got a little bit of a problem here, I think. But after 3 weeks of seeing the same thing, that was a 5 who get 5, who get 5, who get 5, and numbers all over the place. And when I actually figured out that the only way I was going to make any big money is if we got far away from me and everybody I knew, down into the 3rd and 4th and 5th generation, people I didn't even know. That doesn't make any sense. But when I say, you know what, the way I'm going to make this work is people I don't know and don't know. Wait, down there, that's how I'm going to make money. It didn't make any sense, but I got in. And I went full-time. Big mistake. But it's the only way I could have done it. Some of you just said, I just couldn't have done it any other way. And I literally starved to death for 2.5 years. Moved to different places in the country, had 2 cars repossessed. And so here's like where I'm going with the story. So it's 1979. Early 1980, I think, maybe 1979. And I'm living in Urbandale, Iowa, which back then was the world epicenter of network marketing. No, it wasn't. I'll tell you how bad it wasn't. I was driving a borrowed car, both of mine repossessed. I was living in a studio apartment with a bed folded out of the wall. I have a picture of my furniture, a card table and a single folding chair. And one day in that space, I made it in network marketing. That didn't happen, it looks like it happened in one day, but it actually happened with some preparation. Happened really through a whole bunch of I am statements. A whole bunch of actually putting into practice what I'd been studying. I'd actually been teaching it for 2.5 years. telling everybody all about affirmations and goal setting, and I was doing classes on affirmation and goal setting. I had people come in there and say, let me show you how to do this thing. Now, you're going to have to get some affirmations and some goals. I didn't have any. Any of you ever? So I just had to get to the bottom. I don't know if there's any of you. I had to get to the very bottom before I would actually do what needed to be done. I had to get that far down. And what motivated me to do it at the beginning was I just wanted one of those Porsches. That's all. That's what it wasn't noble. I didn't want to help people. I didn't. You know, people say, you don't change, you can't change. That's crap. I mean, if you knew me when I was 22 years old, you would not prospect me. You didn't even want to talk to me. I was just a mess. I was just an angry, isolated, introverted mess. And I didn't know how I was going to get what I wanted in life until I saw that Porsche Carrera. When you're 22 years old in California, if you got a Porsche Carrera, you're going to get everything you want. That was my ticket out. But I messed it up miserably. I didn't do what, I got great mentors, just didn't do what they told me to do. And then finally I got so bad, after this last car was repossessed and my sister kicked me off her couch and guy loaned me a car. That's actually what did. He loaned me a car. I thought, wow, this is bad. This is as bad as it gets. You are a miserable pile of puke, Richard Brooke. So I just started doing what I was teaching other people to do. And I got myself in a mental frame of mind to have a glorious, defining day in network marketing. And it went like this. I don't remember who was talking about it. Probably Tommy again. Making stuff up. So a guy called me, wanted some more product. He'd bought a bottle of that fuel additive. He wanted some more product. I lived in Urbandale, which was right next to Des Moines. He lived in Cedar Rapids. It was February. There was an ice storm going on. Cedar Rapids is a 3-hour drive from Des Moines, Iowa. He wanted more product. Now, I don't know how many meetings I'd done, like Jordan, not flying, but driving. Nobody showed up. Whether it's one-on-one or we built a big display, rented a meeting room, and we're out front doing it, nobody showed up. I don't know how many times I'd done that, but certainly hundreds of people who agreed to meet me for coffee so I could show them how to get rich, and they didn't show up. I had plenty of track record to decide that this guy may not show up if I drive all the way to Cedar Rapids to get him another bottle of product for $15. But I didn't make that up. Here's what I made up on this defining day. I wish I knew exactly what day it was. Here's what I made up. It's treacherous driving in Iowa in February in an ice storm. But if I drive from Des Moines, Iowa to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, here's what this guy just might do. He might buy a case so I don't have to go through that again. It's $180. That was a lot of money to me back then. He might buy me lunch if I time it right. Who knows what might happen from there? So I drive to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I get there about 11:30. He buys me lunch at the Village Inn. Great. Halfway through lunch, he says, you don't need to do this. There wasn't UPS back then, by the way, folks. You don't need to do this. I'll just buy a case, and that'll probably last me for a year. Cha-ching, $180. I was rich. We get through lunch. He asked me a pivotal question. People are going to ask you this question. Now I was making about $300 a month. That was my commissions. He asked me a pivotal question. He said, Richard, is there any money in this? I looked him right in the eye. I said, it'll blow your mind. Literally melt you like hot butter if you knew how much money there was in this, Jerry. Now, it would blow his mind. So I drew the circles. The end of the circles, Jerry looked at the circles. His name is Jerry Shaw, by the way, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, still lives there. He looked at the circles and he said in a way that nobody had ever said it. I had never said it this way. He looked at the circles and he said, I can do that. In the next 12 months, he made me $100,000. Now, I have, in the last 35 years, I guess it'd be 33 since then, 33, I have enjoyed a storied career in network marketing. But all I ever did was show up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and tell Jerry Schaub, it'll blow your mind. That's all I ever did. Because I could have said anything to him, and he'd have run me over to get in the business. And for that next 12 months, all I did was say, you need to go here, you need to be here, you need to do this, you need to follow these directions. And he followed all the directions. For example, this was another defining moment besides it'll blow your mind. After I showed him all the circles and he said, I can do that, he said, what do I do next? Without hesitating, I said, you need to be in Kansas City on Saturday. This was Thursday. You need to be in Kansas City on Saturday with people without hesitation. 6-hour drive in the middle of winter. Now, what if Jerry said, what do I do next? And I go, well, you know, Jerry, why don't you let me loan you a kit, and why don't you take the next few days and read over the equipment. Matter of fact, read the training manual, the 10 steps to success in the business. Go through all those 10 steps, and let's get together in a few weeks, and we'll go over any questions you have. Do you know what the result of that would have been? I'd have lost 2.5 years seniority in the chicken plant. And instead of retiring this year, I'd still be working there for another 2.5 years. You got to be in Kansas City with people. He had 2 people in Kansas City. One of them built a huge leg. He had 30 people in his basement next Thursday night. Because I believed. By that point, I believed. And I want to show you a video, if you can cue this up. You got that lighthouse video anywhere? I'm in the wrong order. Pardon me. Okay, wait. Can you pause that lighthouse video? I just wanted to know if you had it. Can you pause it? These guys are good back here. They're good. So this video is, I can't say it like this video says it, so I need to set it up so you know what you're watching. I just found this. Somebody sent it to me, or I found it on Facebook. This is just one of the best messages there is about what it takes to make it in this business. Now, this video is not about arguing, so I don't want you to hear it as it's about arguing. It's not. It's about belief. In fact, when you are 10 foot tall and bulletproof in your belief about what's inevitable for you in this business, then what other people have to say about whether it's going to work for them or for you or send out cards, it doesn't even matter to you. You just don't even hear it. It doesn't deter you at all. Matter of fact, it kind of entertains you. This isn't about convincing people. If people are 40 years old and they don't believe this is going to work, how long have they believed that? Probably 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Probably their parents believed it. So you're just going to show up one day and say, oh, yeah, you can make a lot of money doing this. Oh, okay. Forget about the last 40 years that I am a loser, I am a failure, need to work at a job for the rest of my life. Forget about that. You're not going to change your mind overnight. This is about you hanging on to you. But, this is just a great analogy of how 2 people come together, and who survives the conversation is the one who believes the most. Now, this is a USS something destroyer that's going through the ocean, and it's in a communication with another vessel. And they're talking about avoiding a collision. Now, when you get to the end of the video, it's only like 30 seconds long, you get to the end of it, if you want to get the best of the humor, you have to stay totally silent until the lighthouse is on the screen and you hear the two guys in the background talking just a little bit. Okay? Quiet, focus, listen to the very end. Okay, go ahead.
Again, this is the USS Montana requesting that you immediately divert your course 15 degrees to the north to avoid a collision. Over.
Please divert your course 15 degrees to the south to avoid collision.
This is Captain Hancock. You will divert your course. Over.
Negative, Captain. I'm not moving anything. Change your course. Over.
Sir, this is the USS Montana, the second largest vessel in the North Atlantic Fleet. You will change course 15 degrees north, or I will be forced to take measures to ensure the safety of this ship. Over.
This is the lighthouse, mate. It's your call. Hello, Captain? I think he's gone. Fair enough.
Huh? Is that good? So I want to tell you how important these defining moments, I call them chicken or champion opportunities in your career. You have them every day. That slide's up there somewhere. You can throw it up there if you want, Ryan, while I'm talking. Chicken or champion decision. So I'm sitting in Des Moines, Iowa, 3-hour drive through an ice storm. How easy would it have been for me to say, you know what, he's not going to show up like everybody else. Just stayed home. How easy would it have been for him to say, is there any money in this? For me to just go, oh, God. Waitress, could you clean this up on the table here? We're having lunch. I wouldn't have had to say anything. I just could have been weak in the moment. He says, what do I do next? How easy would it have been for me to just give out some lame story about what to do next that I think he might think is easy? I'd end up right back in the chicken plant. You and I have hundreds. If you've been in this thing a year or two, you've already walked past hundreds of chicken or champion decisions. It's just a matter of having the faith in your vision, your own vision, having the belief in your own vision, having belief in what we do as a profession, and being a lighthouse stand for it. When your light shines that strong, you're going to take the high road. And the high road leads to more wealth, more abundance, more fun, more relationships than most of you can even imagine. Think about, you're actually just one person away from having the ride of your life. It may be somebody you talk to, it may be somebody your front line talks to, it may be 6 levels deep, but you really are one person away from the ride of your life. But you can't just ride on other people's coattails. You got to be on the front line. You got to make it happen. You got to be, as they say, committed. I want to show them, Ryan, that slide about commitment right now. But I want to just share with you, just for a few moments, something a little bit more than commitment. Now, I like to show the distinction between decision and commitment. Like, people make a decision to get involved in your business. And one of the reasons they make a decision to get involved in your business, because at the moment that you ask them to do it or you show it to them, what they say to themselves is, you know what? This seems like a good idea, right? So they sign up. Then they go talk to a few people, and a few people say, that's not a good idea. So they say to themselves, this isn't a good idea anymore. And they get out. Those are people who come in on a decision. Well, people who come in on a commitment, that's a different quality of decision. A commitment is, I'm going to build this no matter what. I'm going to build it no matter what. Like Nike, do it, but more importantly, do it anyway. Well, what if the first 10 people you talk to tell you it's not going to work? What do? You talk to 10 more. What if the first 10 people you sponsor quit? What do? Sponsor 10 more. What if those 10 quit? What do? Sponsor 10 more. What did you call it, Jordan? Infinity threshold for what? Unlimited tolerance threshold. You cannot beat a man that won't be beat. But folks, commitment is not as simple as just saying, I'm committed. Now, I know those of you who have seasoned, you're going to relate to this statement up here. People are as committed right up until the very point until they're not. Isn't that weird? I mean, even the most die-hard committed people that were at the super later VIP, whatever you had meeting last year, and they all slashed their wrists and blood sucking together, and we're here for life. We're send out cars for life. Let's trade blood. We are committed. Right up to the day somebody showed them that triple infinity binary trinary Australian 3-up plan. Or they met somebody that won a brand new BMW. I mean, keys. Oh, I struck a little, ooh. No, really, if you'll just do about $20,000 worth of volume, you only have to do 10 of it because 10 of it's already over here on the other side. But if you do $10,000 worth of volume, you get a brand new keys, title, insurance, everything. Brand new BMW, it's all yours. Oh. Then they're not committed anymore. You want to be one of those people? You got to manage your commitment. That's what it looks like. You got to engage in success habits. You know, that starts with, you got to start building your belief. You got to start learning to believe. It is a learned skill. You don't become successful and then believe you are successful. It's all up here first. I know that you know that intellectually, but are you doing the do? Are you doing the habits? Are you doing what needs to be done? You got to do that, and then you got to get out and get traction. You got to get in action. You got to get out and create a plan and get in action every day. You got to go talk to people. You got to talk to 2, 3, 4 people a day. Talk to 2, 3, 4 people a day. Let's say 4 people a day. 5 days a week, that's 20 people a week, right? 20 people a week. If you talk to 20 people a week about this opportunity, maybe not that week, but a week or 2 or 3 later, how many are you going to get to show the opportunity to out of 20? 2 or 3 or 4, wouldn't you? Maybe not right that week, but few weeks later, maybe even a couple months later, out of those 20 people, you get to show the opportunity to 2, 3, 4 people. If you show the opportunity to 2, 3, 4 people, how many are you going to get in? A couple, 1, 2, 3, something like that. Just do that for a couple of years, you got a multi-million-dollar business. You know, if you just make $10,000 a month in pure residual income in this business, you know what your distributorship's worth? At least a couple $1 million. If you build an organization that pays you $10,000 a month in pure residual income, meaning if you got sick or you just decided, you know what, I'm going to go fly fish in, outer Mongolia for the rest of my life, you would still earn $10,000 a month every month. Why? Because you got so many people at so much depth, so much leadership that hasn't achieved their goals and dreams yet. They don't care what you do. They got to build out their empire. That's when you have residual income. If you're making $10,000 a month in this, you'd need a $2 million building to produce $10,000 a month in residual income. You need $2 million invested in some kind of equities to make $10,000 a month in residual income. That distributorship's worth $2 million. So if you sponsored 100 people, if you personally sponsored 100 people in the next 2 years to end up with a $2 million building, what are each one of those people worth? I know Jordan probably, how much? 20,000. 20,000. Everybody you sponsor is worth 20,000 bucks. I believe in, what'd you call it? B-hip, B-lip, B-dip, B-hab, Badab. I believe in Badab. I got 5 reasons why I believe in it. Ryan, I've been sitting here since Thursday morning thinking about, is this going to be the next billion-dollar actually, it's not possible for you to be a billion-dollar company. I know that bums you out, but it's not. Well, you can't. Cody knows this already. He just doesn't want to blow your mind too much. I mean, my God, if you get to $1 billion, you know what he's going to do with $1 billion company? He's just going to turn the gas hoses on full blast. You get to $1 billion, you're going to 10 billion before you even know it. I know what your vision is. That's one of the reasons you're going to make it big. You got a vision of love. There's a lot of different ways to describe it, but the simplest way to describe, from my perspective, the vision of Send Out Cars is it's a vision of love, and that makes people feel good. That attracts people. That bonds people. And where's that vision come from? It comes from a leader that walks his talk. It comes from a leader that, yeah. Cody Bateman could easily be convicted of the hardest working CEO in network marketing, easily convicted of that. Why? Because he loves what he's doing, he loves you, he loves the vision, he believes in it, and he's not going to let anybody outwork him. So that's the second reason. You got a leader. You're over the hump. You guys talk about that $50 million figure. That's an over the hump figure. You've been in business for like 7 years. Everything bad that's going to happen to you is already really, it's happened enough so that you've proven you can withstand it. And I know you maybe had some leaders go chase the shiny little object, and guess what? You're going to have more leaders go chase shiny objects. So this isn't the first time people are going to quit. In fact, sometime in the next 5 years, somebody's going to quit that actually blows your mind. Just totally blows your mind that they quit. Oh my God. Just give yourself 5 or 10 minutes, get over it. It's going to happen. You're over the hump, smooth sailing. You've proved that you can withstand adversity and proved you could withstand success. Success screws up as many companies as adversity screws them up big time. Product. Best thing I like, well, not the best thing, but almost the best thing I like about Send Out Cars is your product. I don't know of another product on the planet that does this. When you mention it to them, like if I was a Send Out card distributor, I'd use this somewhere in my conversation with people. I would ask people, what does it feel like when you get a card from somebody and they say nice things about you? What does it feel like? Now, here's what I know about human biochemistry. So I want you to just I'm going to have you close your eyes. Close your eyes and imagine, what does it feel like to get a card from somebody that tells you how much they appreciate you and how much they love you and how great they are? Now, feel your body. Do you feel your body? I'm talking about the chemistry in your body. You can't ask somebody that question without changing their body chemistry in an instant, in an absolute instant, in a nanosecond. All of the electrons in their body change. Everything changes. The chemistry changes. In their blood, in their body, it changes. And then I'd ask them, what does it feel like to actually sit down and send somebody? I know there's a lot of procrastination up front. And, okay, I'm finally going to put words to pen, but what does it feel like to actually send somebody a card and tell them how much you appreciate them? Notice how that changes somebody's body chemistry? Right like that. You know what I sell? Toothpaste. Toothpaste. It's badass toothpaste. So I actually used that for a long time in building my toothpaste business. I asked people, what does it feel like to use really good toothpaste? I can feel them go, oh, God, that's orgasmic. I want you to imagine yourself selling really good toothpaste to people. Where do I sign? Comp plan. It's a great comp plan. It's got a proven track record of $1 billion company, and I'll probably get shot for saying this. It's going to change. Yeah, I'm announcing. No. They asked me to announce the latest comp plan changes. Why? I mean, what are you going to do to me? I'm leaving at the end of this deal. I'm a jokester, okay? So don't believe anything I say. But do believe this. You're going to get to $1 billion, then you're going to go to $10 billion, and over the next 10 years, comp plan's going to change. Has to. How's it going to change? I have no idea. Would it be nice if it never changed? Absolutely. If you could declare no change ever in a comp plan, declare it. If you're going to get to $1 billion, $10 billion, something's got to change. You want your income to change? Things got to change. Everything's different now than it was 20 years ago in this industry. 10 years from now, it's going to be 10 times different than it is now. Things change. You got a great comp plan. You can make tons of money. You don't need to worry about that. All you need to worry about is your responsibility, which is personally sponsoring those 100 people. That's what you need to do. Field leadership. Extraordinary field. I was just awestruck yesterday and today. I was envious yesterday and today. You have the finest group of heartfelt, authentic, funny, inspirational, competent speakers I have ever seen. Have you ever wondered how the standing ovation acknowledges those we're trying to acknowledge if everybody stands up? Where are they? You guys right here in the VIP seats, you all stand up. We just real quick. You all sit down. Stay seated. Don't give it a standing ovation. Right here. All right. That's the finest group of speakers. I've seen people come up here and they're like polished. They got their scripts. They got their memorized presentation. They've done the same presentation 1,000 times. I go dead to sleep watching people like that. Every one of your speakers speaking right from the heart, all experience, real people, and not just 2. You got 20, man. That's number 6, 7. I added one. The gratitude challenge. The gratitude challenge is, in my humble opinion, which I value very highly, is the best viral marketing, buzz, momentum, network marketing building idea I have seen in decades. Yeah, go ahead. Now, Mr. Packard, how are they to know it's you? They're all standing up. Y'all sit down. Now, you can stay standing and they can applaud you very briefly. In decades, it's the best ideas I've seen in decades. Mind-blowing. I want to leave you with, I'm kind of going to introduce, even though he didn't tell me to do it, but I know he's coming up here next. I want to read you something that epitomizes your leader, Cody Bateman. This is out of a speech that Theodore Roosevelt gave in 1910 in France, talking about the Republic of America and what it means to be a member of the Republic of America. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, because there's no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself for a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, he at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat. Cody Bateman.
Give it up for Richard Brooke one more time. So, y'all take your seats just for a second. I'm acting on a prompting. Imagine that. Literally, he does not know I'm going to do this. In my hand, I have this thing. It says Back to the Future 2012. And inside of this, there is a scroll. Some of you may remember this scroll. I'm going to pull this out for a second. You hold that for me?
Sir.
It's good. That chicken thing really worked. You can hold a mic now. That's good. So here's a scroll. Take this off real quick. This scroll was signed, and you're about to see, by hundreds, if not maybe 1,000 people 5 years ago in 2007 at our annual convention. And at that convention, we had a closing party. Those who were there, the closing party was called Back to the Future. And we did a little thing where we had people write out their I am statements where they were going to be in 5 years from now. And they did so and put them on this scroll. And when you read these, you're very, very inspired by them. Where they were going to be 5 years into the future back in 2007. You all do the math. What does that take you to? The future is now. It's 2012. Now, what I'd like you to do is I want you to just pull on that and just walk that way. I'm going to show you all the signatures. You can tell we did not rehearse this. Keep pulling. These are all signatures. Okay, now, does that look like a lot of signatures? Now, hang on. Okay, flip it over. Both sides, over 1,000 names. 5 years ago, all the I am statements of where they were going to be 5 years into the future. Now, Richard, 80% of the people that signed this are no longer here. 20% of you are. Those who remember signing this, would you please stand up? Those who signed this 5 years ago, you please stand up because you are here. You are leaders. Not leavers, but leaders. That's you. Give it up one more time for these folks. Now, one final question. You know, this is the kind of guy, when you get someone like this around, you don't want the movie to end, do you? You just can't get enough of Richard Brooke. I just want you to know how much I appreciate you being here, my family, and friend to friend, brother. Appreciate it. The question that I'd like to ask you, this is just a final question, then you and I can walk off together. How do you keep those 80% from quitting? See, there's a lot of people in this audience that are so inspired by what everyone has said and by what you have said over the last hour, and they're going to take over the world, right? You're going to take over the world, right? Your future is now. But you know as well as I do, you stay up awake at night, you even shed tears over this, that you know that some of those people that have that burning desire in their eyes for whatever reason, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weeks from now, are going to lose that hope again. Talk to them just for a second.
I think I'm wired. Well, that's a big one. I quit a lot of times. I remember once I quit when how many of you have a special relationship with an upline mentor? Yeah. Well, when I first got into business, I had a special relationship with an upline mentor. His name was Kurt Robb. He was kind of the vice president of training or sales for the company, but I at least thought that he was, my mentor. I was probably, like one of thousands that he just had that gift of being like that with. And the way my relationship was to him and the opportunity the first 9 months of being in the business was, as long as he was there for me, as long as Cody would keep doing the treat 'em rights, as long as Jordan would keep doing conference calls, as long as any of these guys were there to train me, as long as Kurt Robb was there, how I held my process in the business was that I would eventually figure it out and become successful because I was tapped into him. I was in training. And the whole time I was in that training, nothing happened for me. And then he died. 40 years old. Hit his head on a rock in Maui, standing in the surf. And I was in Fresno, California when I got that news with some of my buddies who I was working with. And I remember we got the call, and we'd just come home for an opportunity meeting. And I woke up about an hour later, and I was driving in the car. I was driving back to my hometown, which was about an hour away. I just sort of became conscious. And I kind of asked, what's going on? I was just grief-strucken. And what occurred to me was that I was driving home because I was quitting. And I was quitting because he's gone. How am I ever going to make it? He's not here. How am I ever going to learn how to do this? How am I ever going to stay motivated? He's the only one that motivated me. And I had a defining moment. Where it came from, I don't know. I don't have that kind of wisdom. But I said to myself, that's the most disgraceful, dishonoring thing you could ever do in your life. And he told you 100 times, and I'm sure all of you have been told, you know all you need to know to build an enormous empire of your own in this business. It's not about knowing. It's about doing it. He told me 100 times, you know all you need to know. And I was quitting. And in that moment, I just decided, you know what? He told me all I need to know. I just need to believe him. And I just need to go and share what he taught me. And in that moment, I went from student to teacher, just in a moment. Because I found something bigger than me. And you know, what I love about the Gratitude Challenge is it's bigger than send out cards. It's certainly bigger than you. It's way bigger than your prospects. And how you're going to survive here is come up with a reason why you're doing this that's bigger than paying off your car or your credit card or going on some vacation to Disneyland or winning some pin level or any of that stuff. Come up with something that you want to do with your success here that doesn't let you quit, that's so big and so grand and contributes so much to mankind, even if it's in your own hometown, that you just can't quit. And your success is guaranteed. That's all I can tell you.
Richard Brooke, everybody. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you.